Hi YouTube. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm just going to be kind of introduction about myself. I am a new mom of a 4-month-old baby girl. This is my first time being a mom. I do have 2 bonus daughters, not through marriage yet. But I kind of wanted to just talk about like my birth story. I am what they call an advanced maternal age. My pregnancy, I did deliver at 39 weeks. My plan was to have a vaginal birth. Of course, you know, not everything always goes according to plan. I ended up having an emergency cesarean C-section. So my original due date was April 6th. What happened is that at my 38-week appointment, they basically, because of my age and I do have high blood pressure, I haven't been diagnosed with preeclampsia. I haven't had any issues, thank God. My entire pregnancy was actually went really smooth. But at my 38-week appointment, my midwife kind of decided that because of my age and because of my blood pressure, they wanted to avoid any kind of complications. And they actually wanted me to schedule an induction for that. That was a Wednesday. They wanted me to be scheduled an induction for that Friday. I told them absolutely not, because they did check me. I wasn't dilated at all. Nothing was happening. I did not want to rush this pregnancy. I didn't want to rush the baby. I don't want anything that was going to cause any kind of. Okay, sorry about that. Baby was starting to wake up. So my midwife at that time, and I get it, you know, obviously, you know, whatever's going to be safe for the mom and the baby, but I believe in, you know, God's plan. I had no complications up until that point. My blood pressure has been totally controlled, maintained. I haven't had any issues, and I just thought it was unfair because of my age, that they felt like they could kind of control when this baby was going to come, and I just didn't agree with it. So I said, well, let's wait till next week's appointment. Let's see if, you know, if anything happens. And of course they give their suggestions as to what would help get my cervix dilated. Nothing worked. So at my next week appointment, which was March 29th, again, all of our appointments were Wednesday. So March 29th, it was a Wednesday. I went to that appointment. They checked me again. Nothing. I mean, that baby was comfortable. Baby's healthy. Mommy's healthy. But then they realized, wait a second, last couple of appointments, you didn't really give us, I know this could be TMI, but a urine sample to check your protein. Do you mind if we kind of get one from you? Okay, no problem. So I went ahead and gave me a urine sample. And for some reason that day, my blood pressure was through the roof. Now, I do have a history of depression and anxiety. And those couple of days, especially since the prior week's appointment, I had been feeling pretty anxious. So I kind of knew, I said, listen, my blood pressure is going to be a little bit high today because of, you know, XYZ. But they took that and ran with it. Wanted to send me across the street to the hospital for them to basically do a non-stress test. Everything was fine. My boyfriend at that time, though, he actually had a feeling. He said, they're going to keep you. No, sir, not happening. This baby's not ready. I'm not trying to force him or her. Also, on that side note, my entire pregnancy, we decided to keep the gender a surprise. So we didn't know. We even, every time we went to the appointment, we told the ultrasound techs, do not tell us the genders. Of course, we had to look away. So this was a surprise baby. So I didn't want to rush, you know, him or her. The baby's going to come whenever the baby wants to come. They released me to go back home that evening, no problems. And for the next 24 hours, they basically gave me this huge jug to pee in. And I had to drop it off the next night. So Thursday the 30th, I went and dropped it off that evening. Went home feeling fine. Excuse me. And then that Friday the 31st, I get a phone call. Now what's funny is that Friday the 31st, we had gotten paid. And I knew that we were actually going to be having the baby anytime that week or the week after. So we decided, you know what, let's go ahead and pay all of our bills, get everything kind of out the way, do our grocery shopping, things like that. Basically kind of do last minute things. While we're out and about, I had left my phone at home. We get a phone call from the midwife. She had left me 2 voicemail messages. The first one was to let me know hey, by the way, we got your results back from your urine sample. Your protein was a little high. You need to give us a call back because we need to induce you today. And of course, I'm like, what the hell? So the second message, she kind of went, she's like, I don't want to worry you, but you have to give us a call back. So when I called back, they basically said, you have preeclampsia. We don't know how long you've had this. Are you sure you haven't had any symptoms? You know, now I have had swollen feet. Around 27, 28 weeks is when my feet started swelling. But, you know, it's me being pregnant. It's, you know, going into my last trimester. Like, I really didn't, you know, and no one really was worried. And I didn't have, my hands weren't swollen. I didn't have any headaches. I didn't see any spots, you know, whatever. So she told me, you know, it wasn't like, do you want to? It's, no, you have to come to the hospital today. We're admitting you. So thankfully, we had our bags packed. Everything was done. We get to the hospital, they check me again, still nothing, no dilation, and everything was pretty smooth. That evening, after I got admitted, they started me on Cervidil. So, and that was around 6:37 p.m. that Friday evening. Now, at that point, we hadn't called our family because I didn't want to freak anyone out. I didn't know what was going to happen. Again, this is my first baby, so I don't know how this was supposed to go. So they started me on Cervidil, kind of let me know what to expect, what not to expect, yada, yada, yada. They did Cervidil the one time. Nothing happened. Then they started me on Cytotec early the next morning. So Saturday night, April 1st, they started me on Cytotec. Now, Cytotec is basically these itty bitty little tic-tac looking pills that they put in the inside of your cheek. It dissolves, and what that does is help soften your cervix. They did about 3 or 4 doses of that, and that's done every 4 hours, I believe. Nothing. I think maybe I got to 1 centimeter dilated. It didn't really do much. And then after that, they decided to put a balloon. Now, the balloon did help a little bit, but with the balloon, since they were basically kind of forcing my body to kind of do something it wasn't ready to do, that was the most excruciating pain of my entire life. So after they inserted the balloon, they did check me, and at that point too, they had started me on mag or magnesium because my blood pressure was extremely high. With the balloon, I was able to dilate to 4 centimeters, but I feel like that was a forced 4 centimeters. I mean, my body, it was, the pain was, and I have a pretty high tolerance for pain, but it was unbearable. I mean, I was literally clenching the side of the bed with tears in my eyes, and everyone's asking, are you okay? And I'm going, I'm fine, I'm fine. But I couldn't take it anymore. At that point, before they started the Pitocin, I had actually asked them to give me an epidural because, I mean, even at first, I couldn't. It was horrible. Now, with that, they said, well, you know, technically we have to wait till at least 5 centimeters before we can kind of administer a dose. And they wanted to break my water as well after they had taken the balloon out. So now when they broke my water, that's when kind of like I could feel like my body actually, like I could feel everything. That's why I really needed that epidural. So thankfully I had a nurse who was God sent. She was able to get me one. And that made a world of a difference. I mean, I could still feel like any kind of the contractions that were coming when they started the Pitocin, and they started me off at the lowest Pitocin. And that was Saturday, late Saturday afternoon. Now with April 1st being April 1st, April Fools, my boyfriend actually was hoping that I would give birth that day because he wanted an April Fool's baby. Okay. I am a breastfeeding mama, so she wanted her leche. It was time to eat. Okay. So April Fool's baby, not happening. So with the Pitocin, as time went on, at this time I had gotten the epidural, which was wonderful. I was actually able to sleep because the night before, you know, I was just uncomfortable and everyone's coming in and out of your room, like, you know, every 2 to 3 hours, checking on your vitals, things like that. Now she's talking. So with the Pitocin, every couple of hours on Saturday, April 1st, at this time, his mom and my mom were in the room with us, and they spent the day with us. And they were the only people that actually wanted, they're at the hospital. I actually only wanted family, but I wanted our moms to be the only ones in the room when I was to go into labor. Now, with this plan now, even with them inducing me, they still wanted to make sure that I was able to have a vaginal delivery. At this point, with the Pitocin, I think at the last, as much as they could push it with the Pitocin, I was able to do the 5 centimeters. Nothing happened after that. I mean, my body was not budging. So of course they checked the vitals. My blood pressure was still pretty unstable. Baby was completely healthy. Heart rate was perfect. I mean, she was fine. Of course, I didn't know she was she at the time, but the baby was completely fine. So Saturday the 1st, comes to an end. Boyfriend's a little sad that we didn't have an April Fool's baby. The next morning on Sunday, I'm still in a little bit of pain, but I was kind of in and out of sleep. They were giving me some sleeping pills to help out. Pitocin was already tapped out. And I still had the epidural kind of, anytime that I was having contractions, I was able to, push the little buttons. That way I could feel like the pressure of having the contraction, but none of the pain, which was good. Now at that time, so now we're Sunday, April 2nd, in the morning, they're checking me, everything's fine. Now that afternoon, before they actually did the shift change, I had a very weird feeling. All of a sudden I had chills. I felt like that room was freezing, but I was sweating. I didn't feel good. And I kept saying, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. But they figured, I mean, there was everything and anything that was pumping through my body. I really felt like my body was under extreme stress. Like my body was being forced to do something that it just wasn't ready to do. So I really feel like the guidelines as far as advanced maternal age kind of need to be revised, because besides my blood pressure, I think that they could have maybe gone an alternative route to maybe control my blood pressure. If I didn't have any other issues, if the baby wasn't at risk at that point, I should be given the option to, okay, let's do something else a little bit more natural to help kind of lower your blood pressure, kind of get everything under control, so that way you can have, vaginal delivery. Because what ended up happening is I ended up getting sick, and I got choreo, which is basically a fever. And when they did the shift change, I actually started throwing up. That was around 7:30, 8 o'clock that Sunday evening, April 2nd. The doctor on call basically came in and said, listen, this is what's going on. You have choreo. My fever was like 102. I mean, it was crazy. Heart rate for the baby, perfectly fine. Baby is nice and comfy in there, and that they had no worries about the baby, but they worried about mama. Because they told me that with choreo, what would happen is that if I chose to continue with labor, at this time, we were Friday, Saturday, Sunday, almost three days in labor. If I continued to labor, the baby could basically be possibly affected. And that when I did give birth, then they would immediately have to put the baby on an IV. As soon as she said that, I mean, I felt my mama bear instincts. I mean, it was my baby comes first. Absolutely. What do we need to do? She said, we're going to have to do a C-section. Fine. That was not in my birth plan. I did not want to have a C-section unnecessarily. And my boyfriend was aware of the plan as well, that I didn't want to do anything unless it was medically necessary, like to save the baby. And at that point, as soon as she said, start talking about, possibly hooking the baby on IVs, I didn't want any of that. Fine. Do what you need to do. C-section it is. That was a little bit after 8 p.m. And I have never seen so many people come into the room all at once. I mean, they were adjusting the bed, stripping me of everything that I had, wiping me down, making sure I had nothing to eat or drink. They were suiting him up, scooting everyone else out the room. It was crazy. And then at 9:26 that evening, baby girl was born. And everyone was really excited. They knew that we didn't know the gender, so they were pretty excited to announce. And they did have the sheet up, so I didn't see when they were taking her out, but they did have they kind of dropped it to the plastic sheets. That way when they took her out, I could see the baby. So they were like, congratulations, it's a baby girl. And when they said that, I mean, even now just thinking about it, I mean, that was the best moment of my life. Like, I just kept saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like it was crazy. This person was being created. I created this person inside of my body. Like, it was just surreal to me. So she was born healthy, 8 pounds, 7 ounces, 21 inches, head full of hair, which is crazy. I mean, I have a lot of hair, but it's funny because when I was born, I didn't really have that much hair. Perfectly healthy. We started skin to skin. That hospital is really big on skin to skin contact, and they push breastfeeding a lot, which my plan was to breastfeed anyways. Um, but so she was born. I gave birth at 39 weeks, April 2nd, completely healthy. No issues whatsoever, no jaundice. Her hearing was perfect, eyesight was perfect. I mean, on the second day, her eyes were like wide open. Like it's crazy. If I can, I'll insert some pictures. Um, so we were released from the hospital April 5th. Now with breastfeeding, it was a little complicated. We didn't have latch issues. My thing was I was never really told or explained that your actual milk doesn't come in until day 5, 6, 7, depending on your body. But what was only going to be produced was colostrum. So I kind of was aware of colostrum, which is that thick yellow that comes out. So she was latching, but I felt like just with the colostrum, and I wasn't really shown how to hand express, or it was very confusing the first couple of days, and it was crazy. And I wanted to see a lactation consultant on the second day, but the hospital's policy was a lactation consultant would not come see you until literally the day that you're supposed to be discharged, or the day before you're supposed to be discharged, which I think is crazy. I really think a lactation consultant should be assigned to you within those first 24 to 48 hours after giving birth. Okay, so this is my baby girl. This is Camila. Say hello, Camila. Say hello. That's what with breastfeeding. I really think that they should assign someone to you within the first 24 to 48 hours. I mean, if they're pushing skin to skin contact that much, then they really should also push or encourage breastfeeding and how to do it correctly. But when I came home, I was really concerned that she wasn't getting enough, and no one really explained to me until like the third day. A nurse actually showed me a little card, and it was like little fruits. It was basically showing the size of the stomach size of newborns, and she was the only one to tell me, listen, your baby is getting more than enough. Your body knows exactly what the baby needs. Do not worry, you will be okay. This is when she showed me the pictures. This is how much your baby should be eating, or this is what your baby's consuming, this many days old, and so on and so forth. But I still, because I'm a little OCD and I'm a perfectionist, was concerned. So I went home still thinking something was wrong, that I was not going to have enough milk or enough supply for her. So I started pumping, which they do not recommend, to start pumping until about 4 or 5 weeks until your supply is established. But I immediately came home on bed rest and started pumping. And so what ended up happening, unfortunately, is that the first 2 to 3 weeks of her life, she was getting bottle fed. I tried to latch her, but she got so used to the bottle, she did not want to latch again. She was bottle fed expressed milk, so everything, breast milk. So everything that I pumped is what she drank. So I was still happy that she was still being breastfed technically. I know that, there are some moms that, exclusively breastfed, fed is fed. Bottle or boob, Then I was determined to exclusively breastfeed or nurse her from the breast. So I started with a nipple shield because they did give me one at the hospital. I tried with that. It didn't work. It was basically trial and error, trying to figure out, okay, what's going to make her kind of latch. So, okay, she obviously liked the bottle because, the flow was a lot faster. So I kind of went from there, but that's a whole different, that's a whole different video. And then I'm going to go into breastfeeding. But, so that's my birth story. It's my pregnancy. I mean, I thank God it was pretty smooth until the end. The hospital, had other plans because of my age, which I think is bukkake. But I'm happy that I made the decision that day, April 2nd, to basically not put her at risk. I mean, she is my priority above all. And of course, they made sure that I was fine. Then I was fine. I was released. I was in the hospital from Friday, March 30th until that April 5th is when I was able to go home. And I healed up pretty well. I was 192 pounds at the beginning of my pregnancy, through a lot of walking and breastfeeding, but a lot of walking and just making sure that I stayed active, not only to help heal my C-section scar, but to help my body heal a lot faster. I am actually down to more than my pre-birth weight. I really didn't gain that much during my pregnancy. I gained about maybe 16 or 17 pounds. But I am currently 168 pounds. God bless you. 4 months postpartum. She is 17 weeks old. This Sunday she will be 18 weeks old. I'll do another video on her monthly updates as well. Comment below if you know what you guys would like to see. And that's it. So this channel is basically gonna be, you know, kind of like my daily life, new mommyhood, newbie mom chronicles, I guess. Just kind of winging it. So if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see. And thank you so much for watching. Bye. Say bye, Camila.